Welcome back. You're watching ED Insight. To profit or not to profit, that is the question dividing the microfinance industry in India. To find answer to that question, I earlier caught up with P. N. Vasudevan, Managing Director of Equitas Microfinance, and Professor M. Sriram of Ahemedabad, who's done extensive work on the industry. I began by asking them if MFIs going for profit is sacrilege.
I think it is a welcome step. I don't think it is a sacrilege at all. Because there are various models of microfinance which work, and this is one of the models, and I don't think there is an issue there at all.
But what if these companies come under the same pressure that listed companies come under, which is in terms of their quarterly performance, pressure from shareholders, having to keep their bottom lines up, top lines up? So how will this industry cope with it if it comes under similar pressure?
Yeah, that of course is an issue, but going for profit is not necessarily bad. The question right now is not about so much about commercialization. It's a little bit more about governance. But that will also, I guess, settle down as we go along.
Right. Mr. Vasudevan, one of the complaints against the microfinance industry has been that the lending rates are way too high. I mean, why should it be that a poor consumer has to pay 40 to 65% rate of interest every year compared to someone like you and me who can still borrow at 11%?
When you say high interest rates, I think we have to go back one step before that and find out what is the right interest rate at which microfinance should be done. And if someone can sit together and define that, then we can figure out what's happening in the market. Is it a high rate or a low rate? So no, to my knowledge, at least no one seems to have done the first step of trying to define what is a correct rate.
We're not talking about an urban audience, Mr. Vasudevan, which is, in white collar jobs, takes from at least 20, 30,000 rupees a month. We're talking about really poor people who are even having great trouble putting 2 meals together a day.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. So if you try to analyze why is a credit card from a bank to the same audience, urban, middle class income, whatever, to the same audience, why is a bank's product of credit card priced at 33 or 36%? While their personal loan to the same category is priced at between 15 and 20%, a car loan is priced between 11 to 13%, and a home loan is priced between 8 to 9%. Same bank, same client. Why is the product so differently priced? The obvious answer must be that the price is reflection of the cost of funds, the delivery cost, the delinquency that's expected from that product, and the return which is expected from that product. So I assume that these products are differently priced because of the difference in the ingredients going up to making that pricing. So I think we should just try to figure out for the same for a microfinance company, what's the ingredients that go up to make the pricing. If you take the cost of funds, you take the cost of operations, take the delinquency, and take the return on equity which is required. If you add this four together, what's the rate that we come up with?
Professor Sriram, do you think microfinance companies that list on stock exchanges and tap a larger source of funds will be able to drive down cost of lending to poor consumers?
Well, they should be able to as they mature. They will continue to use the arbitrage as long as the arbitrage is available. Right now, they don't have too much of competition, and as the competition goes up, I'm sure the interest rates will drive down. There have been instances where in Krishna district, when the government of Andhra Pradesh clamped down on them, they immediately reduced the interest rates to please the government. So I don't think reducing the interest rate would be too much of a problem. I mean, it's fine for Vasu to say that there are these costs, there are delinquency costs, and there are margins and return on assets. But banks manage on a net interest margin of about 4%. So there should be no reason why other finance companies also cannot manage on a net interest margin of 4 to 5%. Why do you need more than that? Right.
But Professor Sriram, I think the larger question is whether this is a business that should think commercial at all. I mean, at the end of it, I think this is more a social sort of an enterprise rather than a very commercial enterprise. Or is it wrong to say that?
Well, there are various models, Sriram. There are commercial models as well as there are social models. When we talk of microfinance, we somehow restrict ourselves to the discussion of the for-profit microfinance. The larger bit of the microfinance industry in India is the self-help group bank linkage model, where there is a huge element of non-profit. So therefore, there are multiple models, and this model works in this way. So therefore, that's fine. I mean, there is a much better and much larger alternative model which doesn't grow as fast, but that's there. That's 25,000 crores for you.
Right. So Mr. Vasudevan, the consumer is not dumb, he's very smart. And so when he's given the option of, let's say, borrowing from a self-help group versus a company which is listed on a stock market, which is the one that he's going to go with?
If it's a question of a choice of dealing with a self-help group or a microfinance company which is listed on the stock exchange, she may not really take a call based on that, but her call will be taken probably based on what she wants and who is giving her closest to what she wants. What she wants is obviously access to money of a certain level, and at a time that she really wants it, and at a rate which is the lowest possible. So whether it's the SHG or whether it's a listed company, I don't think she is going to make a choice based on that. But if the SHG is unable to meet her requirement, let's say she wants 5,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees,
right,
but the SHG is able to give her 3,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees, then she may not choose that. She may just choose the company which is listed on the exchange,
right,
but which happens to give her what she really wants.
If more and more companies list on stock exchanges, we probably need a new set of regulations or new sort of guidelines to keep an eye on there?
Formal institution is more desirable to a money lender. A listed institution is more desirable than to an unlisted institution. A bank is more desirable than an NBFC, and so on. That's the spectrum that we are talking about. Right. So therefore, listing certainly will bring in much more transparency, much more regulatory oversight, much more accountability, because they are now not only accountable to their board, but also to public at large, and they also need to give quarterly guidances and to the press and so on. So therefore, their conscience is much better. So therefore, listing is much more desirable than being an unlisted company from a perspective of accountability and transparency. Yeah.
Right. Now, Mr. Vasudevan, one of the reasons why your cost of fund is because, and the cost of distribution is high, because you need to employ field agents to go deliver the credit to people. Now, how big a role can technology play in bringing down the cost of distribution and recovery for you?
Definitely, I would say that if you're a process, a good set of process put in place and supported by good technology, you can easily shave off, I would say, anywhere between 3 to 5% of your operating costs.
Now, what is essentially going to help this industry scale up, reach, and also the size of credit to India's most needy consumers?
The microfinance industry in general have to show that they are very responsible in the way they are dealing with the poor clients. Unfortunately, the signals that we are getting now are not very clear, and we have to remember that this is a very politically sensitive issue. One, how do they deal with the client? Do they deal with the client with dignity? Two, do they have adequate procedures of dignified recovery of loans? Three, is there a problem of multiple lending? I mean, I've been to Bhopal where I saw women telling me that they have 5 loans from 5 different MFIs. I mean, this is alarming. So they need to be a little more responsible before the backlash starts. There could be a regulatory clampdown, there could be a political clampdown, and that would be very, very unfortunate. Right. I think the signals are already coming, and they need to be a little more careful.
Mr. Vasudevan,
the primary focus should be, are you doing the best deal for the clients? Are you giving them the most fairest possible terms to the clients? Because of their inability to choose, we can take them for a ride if we want to. So in that scenario, are you really giving the best that you can to the client and not the worst that you can give to the clients? Here in microfinance, the principle that we believe should be followed by all of us is that growth should be just after effects. Growth should not ever be our main driver. We should never drive behind growth. You just do your the best that you can to your clients and let growth be just as a byproduct rather than focusing on growth.
Well, that debate is going to rage on for months to come. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of ET Insight. We'll be back next week, but until then, don't forget to write in with your feedback and suggestions. Thanks so much for watching.